Hi, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to take a look at this small micro box layout which was provisionally titled Creech Barn. I've spoken about it previously on the blog, shown it in a much sort of earlier state. It's one of the most watched videos on the channel. I don't personally know why it gathers so much interest, but I thought it would be nice to take a look at it again. I'll share where things have got to and explain perhaps why it's stalled, and what I'm hoping to do in the coming weeks and months. So I suppose the best thing to do, bring you over and we'll take a quick tour around. There's not much to show, and we'll see how we get on. So you'll have to excuse some of the peripheral mess. I've just placed the layout on top of my bench, but let's just take a quick look at the size. It's actually designed to fit in a flight case, an aluminium flight case, so it's 34 by, bear with me, 27. So it's a peculiar size. As I say, it was designed to fit exactly in a box I had already. It is Pico Crazy Track, 009 Crazy Track, that the curves at each end are separate to the rest of the track, and they were formed with a rail bender that used to be available from KB Models through light railway stores. I'm not sure it's still available, but that's what I used. So you strip the rail out of the web of the sleepers and then run it through the rail bender, and then carefully thread sleepers back on. But I do it one by one rather than on the web, so you have to separate them all out. It's a bit of a faff, but it gives you a nice tight curve, and then obviously the sleepers give you your gauge back. The power supply is into a plug that sits behind here at the top, so you can just make out in this top corner a grounded van body. It's actually a 009 kit, I think it was the first rolling stock kit that Narrow Planet did. That's still not finished. That's going to be painted up as a sort of crew van in the corner there, a bit like at Statfold. If you've been to Statfold, you might recognise something similar. So the power comes in under the hill there, and you've got some pieces of MDF at the side of the board here and along the back there. They need treating to look like walls, so I've got some brick and some stone to overlay on those. The structure is scratch built in styrene, and it covers the well, I'm just see if I can lift it off without damaging anything. So it covers the tracks. You can, although I've got two locos on these tracks, actually there's no isolation. You can only actually have one, theoretically one on each one. It just gives me a place to store them out of the way. So the whole concept of the layout was a home for my very small European 040, or in this case the 060 locomotives, inspired by Statfold Barn and the Bredgar and Wormshill Railway, and that sort of intimate feel that you get. And it's really straightforward. You can run around the circuit, which this is supposed to be sort of open country and we'll have a sort of fence along it. This was supposed to be down in the corner here, like through the gardens, so there's shorter grass with the tree and things. So it's supposed to be contrasts with the engine shed scene and the sector table. So this needs painting and finishing as well, but this is wired up, so there's a feed to the loop here that comes through and then up underneath the table. So you flick your point, you come into the table, and the table then is just rotated by hand to whichever track you want, and then this selector switch here dials in which track is live, allowing you to run the loco from the shed road, so it controls the 4 shed roads. So it's no more complicated than that. It's built from laminations of MDF in my usual style, so 2 pieces of 6mm, I think he's saying. No, I tell a lie, it's 9mm with a 6mm underneath. So 9mm gives me the depth of the table. And this was cut out with a jigsaw, this piece here, and then there's a 6mm piece underneath to give it a base. I think that's probably as much as I can really say about the constructional details, but there is another video that shows this as well, so I probably don't need to say any more than that. This model is actually going to be my latest or my newest kit. It's a young prototype on a Bachmann Percy N-gauge chassis. So there we go, we run onto the table. It's not a turntable because it's pivoted at one end. Just a line by eye, which is quite difficult when you've got the camera in the way. And you'd run into the shed. And then if I flick this switch one way, this way, that's now this one's live, so I could slide the track over to here. Okay. And then gently, it's going to need a little lever at the end. It's just difficult because the camera's right in front of my chest. So over. So just aligning by eye, which is all that you need for something like this. And then back out. And then normal operation, there'll be a couple of passenger carrying carriages that you'd sort of back onto here and uncouple to go and swap an engine over. So I mentioned that this was just wired from underneath. I thought actually I'll lift it up so you can see. So we've got a styrene tube in the middle that pins into another one underneath, and then you can see those two wires that then just bob through and are connected to the rails. Ooh. Actually, I'll put that back on when I'm off camera in a second. So that gives you your articulation and is all you need. This hole in the baseboard's been sealed with sanding sealer, which is a sort of MDF specific product, and I will intend to paint this well to sort of represent a concrete foundation. So looking at the overall composition, the idea is that the engine shed's like a view block in the centre of the layout, a bit like on Kirsten Torfwork, the first box layout I built of this nature. This was a bit more ambitious with the engine shed scene, and it's hopefully got the feel of Bredger if anyone's familiar with that, but with this strong up lighting from above you can't quite tell, so obviously when I get around to doing a proper video you'll see a bit more. But the idea is obviously this will be a sort of way in, and there'll be some signage, old sort of enamel signs and things. You've got a park bench there and a bin, and that'll be where you get on the train if you like. So that's effectively the platform area, which I may build up with some slight sort of timber edging or something. And then you can see the wall in the background that'll need with cladding in brick or stone. And the idea is it feels quite an intimate space, and if you are familiar, as I say, with the prototypes, you'll know that's exactly how it feels. It feels like you walked into someone's sort of personal collection, almost into their garage. And you can sort of detect their passion for the subject through that intimacy. So I'm hoping I'm capturing some of that in these little spaces. And you know, this is a tiny layout, but it's so incredibly entertaining. This is the garden area, and is one of the areas I wasn't particularly happy with. It's just very short 2mm static grass. It just looks a bit too consistent. You can still see the ground through it, and so I'm going to need to do some work in this area, but I'm going to need to keep the grass short, and I'm going to need to keep the grass colour consistent. Very little variation in grass in your garden in terms of shade, isn't there? But yeah, it was actually adding the static grass that probably finished the project off for me. It lost its way a little bit. So building the young, the new locomotive has made me dig the layout out, clean it up, enjoy operating it again. So I think there's some energy now to push on and see this through. It's a lovely little thing, and I'm going to enjoy owning it for many years, I'm sure. So these last few steps, although you know they were the cause of the abandonment, I think they're all achievable, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things turn out, how the scenes and compositions I have in my mind sort of evolve on the project, on the layout itself. So thanks for watching, hope that was of interest. As always, if you've got any questions, do leave them as comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you haven't done already, I would appreciate the like and subscribe and things like that. But actually, even you just watching this video is really appreciated. So thank you for that. There will be more. We'll be back to normal sort of layout tours and operational videos soon. I just felt it was quite a nice opportunity to come and take a look round here, and perhaps a little bit of a spur on for myself to push this over the finishing line. So yeah, see you all again soon.